Hey, welcome to another great episode here at the Pastor's Pantry Cooking School. I'm your host, Chef Sam Peters. Got a great side dish for you that goes great with steak, and it's twice baked loaded potatoes. Before I get into that, let me tell you what I do every episode, the two things that we're most passionate about here at the cooking school, and that is that we believe, first of all, that we call it the gospel of good taste. First of all, that everything's about stewardship, that every good and perfect gift is given to us by God. James 1:17 teaches us that. And food is a gift that we want you to be a good steward of. And so we hope to teach you some things today that will help you make every dining experience great at your house. The second thing we're most passionate about is community, and we believe there's no greater metaphor for community than food. I mean, what draws a crowd together more than food? And so we want to hopefully share with you some great things today that will help you bring people around your table to make it the sacred place and sacred time it was always meant to be. Well, let's get into the recipe and what's included in this. Joyce is going to share with you what we're cooking with today.
All right, we're doing twice baked potatoes. This recipe serves 8. You need 4 large baking potatoes, olive oil, and kosher salt. Then you also need 3 tablespoons of minced garlic, 1 stick of unsalted butter, salt and pepper to taste, 1 cup sour cream, 4 strips of bacon fried crispy, cheddar cheese for topping, and chives for garnish.
All right, thanks, Joyce. Well, I want to show you how we're going to prepare our potatoes. So you're going to bake these potatoes in the oven for about an hour. What we do is we wash them really well. We coat them in olive oil, put some kosher salt, we wrap them in foil, we put them in the oven for about an hour till they're nice and soft and tender, okay? Then we take them out, we got to let them cool for about 20-30 minutes so that we can handle them. And what we end up with is a potato that we can cut in half. And then we want to just take a spoon, and we just want to very carefully carve out most of the flesh. You want to leave a little bit behind to kind of help hold it all together. So we end up with something like that. I'll show you what the other half here. All right. Just use your spoon. Again, leave some of the flesh behind to help hold it together, but that's what you end up with. These are like the potato skins you might order as an appetizer in a restaurant, okay? So now we have these, we need to put these potatoes, because we let them cool off, we gotta go back in the microwave for about 2 minutes, and then we're gonna load everything into them. All right, so we've microwaved our potatoes, and we wanna go ahead and do a few things here. I'm gonna go ahead and season them with a little bit of pepper, and I also wanna season up. I'll put these on here, Joyce. You got that?
I got them.
All right. We want to season. I like to do this, man. Just put a little bit of seasoning on the inside of the potatoes, too.
Because I like to eat that part. That's the best part.
Well, that's why we work so hard at cleaning them and seasoning them up so the skin and everything about this is completely edible. And then we want to add some salt. And just some more kosher salt on here. Now the outside's coated. You don't want to overdo the salt here, okay? So y'all take it easy on that. But then we want to salt our potatoes. And then to this, we have a cup of sour cream. Now you could use milk like you would normally use for baked potatoes, but trust me, this is so much better. And even your eaters out there that aren't crazy about sour cream, they're not even going to know this is in there. It's going to be so good. Okay, we're going to put in a bunch of minced garlic and then 1 whole stick of melted butter.
It's going to be so good.
Now we just warmed up these potatoes, so don't try to, put a cold stick of butter in here and get that to mix up. That's just not going to work for you, trust me. All right, and then we're just going to mix this up together and just whip it just like you would regular mashed potatoes. All right, we have our potatoes all whipped up. I still like a little bit of chunkiness in there. I kind of like that texture. If you want yours super smooth, then go ahead and and whip them up more. You might find your potatoes, if they're a little too dry, you can just add just a little bit of milk, maybe a quarter cup, but not very much. We were fine, we didn't need to do that. All right, so now I'm gonna get a larger tablespoon, and all we need to do is to scoop good tablespoon amount into our potatoes. We'll come back and top those off with a little bit more once we get all of this in there, but you just want to fill each potato with a good heaping tablespoon, or two. If you got bigger potatoes, you might need two.
Yeah, we're doing medium potatoes today. We're serving about 17, 18 people, and these are going in a to-go tray. So
Pretty small container.
Yeah, so we got a little bit smaller potato. We did medium potatoes here, but you know, if you're going to do this on a plate with a steak or something like that, you want to get those large.
Oh yeah, get those large
potatoes.
Idaho bakers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a meal in itself.
It really is. Now there's been times when we needed just a few of these, and we ended up with some extra potato skins. And we would just go ahead and hit, because we wanted extra flesh, but we didn't need necessarily all the skins, and so we just saved those for the next day, and we made those as an appetizer, and we did loaded potato skins, and that's not a bad idea either. In fact, if you wanted to do potato skins, if that was your idea for a meal, you could do that and then save all this flesh just for mashed potatoes for a meal for the next day. Again, just keep those in the refrigerator covered, and then take them out the next day, reheat them in the microwave for about, probably need to go at least 3 minutes if they've been in the refrigerator overnight. And then cook up your mashed potato. That gives you a nice potato skin appetizer. It's just like this recipe, you just leave the filling out.
We're going to do a class here soon with nothing but apps, and we're going to do pulled pork potato skins.
Can be good. Which, by the way, that recipe might be in my
New cookbook?
my new cookbook. I've got 2 new cookbooks out. Well, one's actually a re-release of another cookbook. I did a Tailgate Tidbits cookbook a couple years ago, and we've re-released that. I had a lot of requests for it. It has about 60 some recipes in it for tailgating. And then we wrote a second one, Tailgate Tidbits Volume 2, and those are available on our website and also here at the store. So if you want to come by and get one here, if you're local to us, that'd be great, and we'll help you out with that. Hey, and you know what? I'll even autograph it for you. So come and check that out. Just kind of using up all of my filling here. So going to some of these potatoes that could hold a little bit more. So all of our potatoes now are filled. Now we want to go ahead and put a little bit of cheese on top. And we just have some sharp shredded cheddar cheese. Okay. And I just like to kind of pinch a little bit out and push it down into the potatoes a little bit.
And we like the sharp cheddar because we want that flavor.
Oh,
we want it to stand out. We want all these flavors to be layers of flavor in your mouth. If you go with a mild one, it just is like, there's cheese on it.
Yeah, it's better to go with the sharper flavor. You know, the key to really making your dining experience great for me is just making sure you have lots of flavors that make your mouth happy. Okay, so just put lots of flavor in there, something so that every bite is a new experience. We're going to put these back in our oven. Melt this cheese. Reheat our potatoes.
You gonna put bacon on it now?
Absolutely.
Cut that part out.
Next, we want to add some bacon. Now, the great thing about this bacon is you want to go, what we'd like to do is take several strips of bacon, whatever we're going to need, and we're going to go ahead and throw it in the freezer for about 20-30 minutes. Let it get a little solid. Okay, so what we have is some perfect bacon bits. So we just dice it while it's cold, and that way it's easy to go ahead and fry them up as already diced, and then fry them instead of doing the whole strip and then breaking it into pieces. It's a little easier to do. Okay. A few pieces of bacon on here. Bacon makes everything better. All right, just a little bit more on these last two. A little bacon there. All right, that looks good. All right, so again, we're going to get these in the oven. We're going to bake them. We'll show you what it looks like as we plate here a little bit later. Well, let's get into the ingredients for this. Joyce is going to share with us what we're putting in here.
All right, this is for green beans with cranberries and walnuts. It's going to serve 8. You need 2 pounds of green beans. You want to trim those ends. 6 tablespoons of salted butter diced into 1 tablespoon pieces. 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. 1 cup walnuts toasted and chopped. 2/3 cup cranberries. 4 teaspoons lemon juice. Salt to taste. 2/3 cup crumbled feta cheese for topping, and 4 teaspoons of lemon zest.
All right, sounds like a lot, makes it sound complicated, but it really isn't. So what we did is we took some fresh green beans and we blanched those in boiling water for 3 minutes. That's all the longer you need to cook them through. We don't want these to be mushy. We still want them to be crisp when we eat them, but we do want to cook them. It helps with the saute process. So blanch those for 3 minutes and then take them out and either put them in an ice bath or rinse them with very cold water. So we have those prepared, but first we have to get some butter going here. Get some butter in our pan. Once I get this all melted, I'm going to add our garlic, and we're just going to let that garlic go for about 30 seconds to a minute. You don't want to overcook the garlic, it'll get bitter, but we want it to kind of flavor all this butter, which is literally going to act like a sauce covering our green beans. Okay? So in goes that garlic. Just stir that around again. 30 seconds to a minute really is all it takes. And then we're going to add in our blanched green beans. See how quickly this all comes together? It is not a long process. Going to toss this around a little bit. Make sure that it gets coated really well with our butter and our garlic. And all we're doing at this point, because these green beans were heated or cooked when we blanched them, so all we're trying to do now is heat them through. All right, then to that we're going to add in our toasted walnuts, our dried cranberries. Toss those around a little bit.
Looking good already.
Oh, you know it. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And one of the things that I would encourage you to do anytime you're working with sauteed vegetables, one way to really brighten up those vegetables, it could be green beans, it could be broccoli, it could be carrots, squash, whatever it is. One of the things that you can do to really brighten up that flavor is to add some lemon zest or lemon juice. And we're going to do both in this case. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and zest up our lemon. So I've just got my food grater here. I'm going to very quickly, you just want to take off the yellow part. You don't want the white part, that's bitter. Just getting all that zest off of there, one whole lemon. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and add the juice of this lemon. Again, that just really brightens up that flavor. Adds a nice little citrus zing to it. Just toss that around. And that's all there is to it. These are done. Now, when we finish these though, we're going to toss in a little bit of feta cheese over the top and serve it nice and hot on the plate. We'll show you what that looks like here in just a little bit. We're going to be doing sauteed onions and mushrooms for a steak dish we're doing later, but not any mushrooms today. We've got some button mushrooms, which is kind of the common one that I use, but we have some great Morel mushrooms. I'm going to show you those here in just a second. Well, Joyce is going to share with us the ingredients for our recipe.
All right, we are using 8 ounces of portobello mushrooms, chopped, and morels. You can use 16-ounce portobello, button mushrooms, whatever kind of mushrooms you want to use. You need 1 cup of dry white wine, 1 stick of salted butter, 1 onion thinly sliced, half a teaspoon of dried thyme, and salt and pepper to taste.
All right, I want to tell you a story about these mushrooms here in just a minute, about why I'm so hooked on doing these and how I learned to do these. But first I want to show you these great morels that we have. Joyce, we got that on camera there? These are the mushrooms we have. We want to thank Debbie Falk and her husband. They're shroomers. They get out all the time, and they have brought us some great mushrooms over time. Lion's Mane is one that they brought. Some chanterelles. These morels are great, and so it's always pretty awesome whenever she calls me and says, "Hey, I've got mushrooms for you." So we wanted to incorporate that in our meal. So what I want to do is go ahead and get these chopped up and add them to some we already have. You just want to do a rough chop because these are really going to cook down, okay? So we kind of leave them still kind of large. And then we have a bunch of them that we're going to leave whole because I want to garnish the top of each steak with a whole morel mushroom so people know they're in there. So what we have there is just some of the smaller ones, which I think is perfect size for garnish, okay? So we're going to put those in a bowl. So we have those all set aside. We also have an onion that's chopped up. We have our portobello mushrooms. We are using portobello. Sometimes, again, usually I'm going to use the button mushroom, but we're using the portobello. I wanted a kind of a really good earthy one to go with this. And so we have a pan getting hot. To that, I'm going to add a stick of butter. That's right, a stick of butter. But I promised you a story about these. When I was a kid, going to college, and this is when I first started working as a chef. I worked in a restaurant. They gave me a $5 meal allowance every day, and I could eat anything I wanted. The only problem was that the steaks that were there were more than $5. So the only thing I could afford for $5 was a bowl of mushrooms and onions, and I would order that and a Coke, and that's kind of what I did. So that's how I got hooked on mushrooms and onions. Toss these around a little bit. Now this recipe is a little more in depth than the ones I used to cook in a restaurant many years ago. We've added a lot more flavor to it. It's so much better. In goes our portobellos. I'm going to saute these down a little bit, and then we're going to add those morels in there. I don't want them to break up too much, so we're going to keep them whole as long as we can. These have been cooking for about a minute. We're going to go ahead and add in the morels. Man, those look so good. Unreal. And they really have a great aroma cooking all of this together. Mushrooms have that extra sixth flavor called umami. It's that earth flavor that you get from certain foods. Just want to toss these around and get those coated with the butter. And then we're going to add to this 1 cup of dry white wine. We're going to season it with some salt and some black pepper. I love black pepper on my mushrooms and onions. And then a couple good little pinches of some thyme. So you want to toss these around. We're going to cook these for about 4 to 5 minutes total until the mushrooms get nice and softened. They've given up most of their liquid. And we'll still have a little bit of wine and butter sauce in there with the onions. And this will make a great topping for our steak later. All right, we're just going to let these cook for about 4 to 5 minutes. We'll show you what it looks like here in just a little bit. Hey, I'm telling you what, we have had an absolute blast cooking at the pantry today. Here's what we had going on in the kitchen. We did, for our date night, we did reverse sear ribeye steak with Morel mushroom and onion sauce. We did a twice baked potato, loaded baked potato with cheese and bacon and chives. And then, of course, we made our green beans with walnuts and cranberries. Well, I want to give this a try. I'm going to dive into our steak here first. When you reverse sear a steak, you're going to cook it to an internal temperature. I want to get one of these Morel mushrooms in here. Cook it to an internal temperature of 145 is what we did, and then we reverse seared it. We just cooked it on a really hot skillet. Mm-hmm. I notice you take smaller bites. Can't help myself. So tender. Unbelievable ribeye. All we did was put a rub on the outside of that and cooked it. Mushrooms and onions in a butter and wine sauce. Fantastic. All right, we're going to try our green beans. We want to garnish that with a little bit of Feta cheese. Gives a nice little tang to it right at the end. See if I can't pick up a little bit of everything there, Joyce. There's a lot going on there. That brightness from the lemon juice and the lemon zest in there is fantastic. And then we have the sweet cranberries, a little bit of crunch, because both the green beans and the walnuts are crunchy. And then we have that nice little salty cheese flavor with the feta cheese. That's fantastic. And then I want to just do a little bite of our loaded baked potato.
He doesn't know what a little bite is.
I don't know what a little bite is. This is a little bite for me. The secret here is to bake these potatoes, cover them in olive oil, and put that kosher salt on the outside, because I immediately picked up that salt when it hit my tongue. And then, just the wonderful mashed potatoes with some sour cream and some garlic in there. Fantastic. Cheddar cheese and, of course, bacon makes everything better. Listen, y'all, our recipes are out there on our website, patterfamesauces.com. Go check them out, download them, and make them. And when you make them, and I know you will, we want you to post them out on our Facebook page. A lot of people have been doing that lately, and we'd love to brag about you. So when you post your pictures of what we've given you, we love to share that with the world. So go out and do that for us as well. And check out our brand new YouTube channel, the Pastor's Pantry Cooking School YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. Trying to get our subscribers up. But it's a fantastic way to watch how we made every one of these things. Listen, y'all, go make this soon. Blessed cooking to you.